It's been a while, quite a while. Something like 4 or 5 years, I think, since my last podcast, my mixtape. This is not my mixtape. This is an entirely new avatar. So anyway, welcome to What the Future, the podcast that explores ideas, people, and innovations shaping our world. I am Soup, and every Friday we dive into conversations with visionaries who are not just predicting the future, but building it. Today we have a truly inspiring guest with us. Kinga Tshering is a Bhutanese businessman, former politician, might be a politician again. I'm not sure. We'll get into that as well. And definitely a social entrepreneur, a person who has spent his career at the intersection of happiness and innovation, I'd say. He's worked from national corporations, led in government, and now he's helping local entities in Bhutan embrace such things as AI while remaining true to our G&H roots. So he joins me today to discuss how we can build a future that is not only technologically advanced, but also deeply human and happy. So with that being said, let's get started. Welcome, La. You are the inaugural guest on this podcast.
Lasso, thank you so much. What an honor, La. And, especially for this show. I think but the first of its kind, Mola.
Yes,
what the future. And WTF sounds a little bit misleading, but now I get it. And especially to be hosted by somebody like you. So thank you so much, La.
Thank you, La. There are a number of podcasts that have come up in recent times. Of course, at the time when I was doing it, I don't think there were podcasts around at that time. Now there are a number of them. But
Yes.
certainly, as you pointed out, the focus on this podcast is definitely the future. And the WTF part, of course, is a little clickbaity. So
Nice,
we
nice.
do want the people's attention.
It does get luck. Good job, whoever thought about it. Full credit.
That would me.
Nice. There you go.
Thank you.
There
Thank
you
you. Anyway, let's, glad to have you here.
Nice.
Tell us, for starters, a good place to start, as I always find, is to ask what you've been doing lately. What's been keeping you busy?
Oh, last. So I just came back from a long tour. So I've been spending about 40 days traveling from Singapore to Australia to Mumbai to Bali, and then finally it's good to be back in Bhutan. So that's really nice.
Long trip.
Long trip it is. And of course the other thing is last time in one of the Khadar Tashe, so I met a very senior friend who said, "Hey, Kinga, Kachira bedo se sunde." So I said, "Achi busy be diila se shuila. Kachi busy la." So I said, "On TikTok then you see this. Oh, I got the." So I guess that's the other thing that keeps me really busy, and I'm really enjoying it.
Cool. Yes, we've been seeing a number of posts lately from you on social media. And it's good to know, yeah, because some of us, we feel a little left out. I mean, like we feel like intruders almost, because we're old timers, right? And that's not necessarily our space. But I'm glad to see others of similar age there.
Yes,
Very
yes.
comforting for us.
Well, I mean, compared to me, you're like Zen G, man.
Washila.
Gen Z? No, I think so. But
Probably quite close.
But anyway, I think I sort of raised the same question when I met my friends in Singapore. So Singapore was saying, "Hey, Kinga, we see you very busy, but usually, in Singapore is normally people of different age group people out there." But again, I think, as I said, it's true that a lot of people think it's for young people. And especially my kids, they do feel a little embarrassed, but one of my daughters said, "Oh, Dad, I'm keeping my Facebook account just so that I can monitor you. Otherwise, we are only on Instagram." So I think, it seems to be quite something which is unexpected to a lot of colleagues, especially of my age.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. But anyway, I hope that this has been helpful, because that's the feedback that I'm getting from some of my colleagues, especially in the villages, Mola, who are, of course, they have access to any kinds of contents on the YouTube or in any platform, but mostly it's in English, so they don't get in Dzongkha.
Right.
So that's the reason why I feel that sometimes, very, very helpful to not only to them, but also for myself to be able to engage despite of the distance and despite of the time and everything, Mola. And then also in our own national language. So I feel now more comfortable speaking in Dzongkha rather than in English.
Right.
So I may be a little rusty today, Ala.
Okay, perfectly fine. I try to do it in Dzongkha, and my Dzongkha is shoddy. It's terrible, it's poor, it's embarrassing. But I still try to do as much of it as I can in Dzongkha when I do my own personal posts.
Yes.
But sometimes, especially because my Dzongkha is so rudimentary, when I have to explain certain concepts, I just fall short. So like
Yeah.
if I had to say something like sustainable development, there's no way I can get around it. So
Imbe.
so yeah. So but I get the point that the social media space, as far as we know, is generally a place that is populated by much younger people.
Imbe.
However, it also remains true that there are people like yourself who have a wealth of knowledge, a lifetime of experiences, which are invaluable, which these kids will never know of, and which would probably go wasted if you don't share it.
Plus.
And therefore, it makes a whole lot of sense. And that's why it's been very encouraging to see people like yourself on social media. So, by all means, keep it up.
So, thank you.
And we'll keep doing the same
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you. Last. Now you feel better.
All right. So, long tour. It's been 40 days, something like 40 days, right?
Yes.
So it was Bali, Australia, Mumbai, and you were connecting with your Harvard colleagues as well.
Correct.
Right. Must have been quite. Did you get homesick, by the way?
I did. Only after I left from Australia.
There you go, right? So it's like
It was so funny. I think. Another remark feedback I got from my kids was that now some of what they heard is that when they see me continuously on my posts, after I left from Australia, they see that my shirt's buttons are getting tighter. In fact, fighting and struggling to keep them shut. So a lot of Bhutanese food and a lot of pa and a lot of tochim.
Right.
So actually, when I was in Australia, you feel that you're in some ways in a small pocket of Bhutan. But after that, yes, when you're in other places, definitely you do miss Bhutan. So that's why I think as soon as I landed, not to be dramatic, but all of a sudden I remember a conversation I had with a young friend and I posted it as well. So, yeah.
Okay. We'll get into your conversation with this young gentleman in a while, because I did follow that.
Oh, okay.
But just to be clear, especially for many of our younger listeners and younger watchers on YouTube. By the way, we're live on radio right now, but we're coming on YouTube tomorrow. Okay, every Saturday on YouTube. Just to be clear, some of them probably don't know who you are, right? Which is no insult to you, by the way.
It's
just the age difference, right?
Yes.
Kinga Tshering is he served in the public sector for 23 years. Now I'm reading from Wikipedia, by the way. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Mela. He served in the public sector for 23 years, and most recently as a Member of Parliament in the National Assembly. He has experience in legislation, organization building with the formation of the Bhutan Power Corporation, the BPC, the Bhutan Electricity Authority, BEA, and he was also with Druk Holdings and investment with Druk DHI Infra, right? You were heading the Druk Infra, right? Yes, DHI Infra. He also has experience in the financial sector, banking, energy, infrastructure projects, and in the capacity of a CEO and as a board member of many boards. So, which is why I said, who better could be called to start this podcast about the future? As I understand it, you have an Institute of Happiness.
Yes.
What's it officially called?
Institute of Happiness, translation will be Gakitsukde.
Okay.
In Dzongkhala.
Okay.
So, this is actually an institute which has been established back in 2017. And that time I went to the Kennedy School for the public administration program at Harvard University, and that is the time a lot of the mid-career friends, politicians, and business people from all over the world, who sort of attended the program. There were about 300 of them. So they were extremely interested in Bhutan, and especially, of course, with our Jainish concept.
Right.
So they wanted to come to Bhutan, and at first my first answer was no. Look at the logistics, look at the problem that you deal with, the visa. But they said, look, Kinga, doesn't matter. You just be there. We'll do everything on our own. So surely enough, 2017 December, 35 of them showed up here.
Okay.
And they had such a great time.
35 of them?
35 of them. They had a great time. There was like peak of winter, like December 25th. And then even Christmas they spent here. They spent the New Year's here. And after that, they said, look, we really don't know, but there has been some really transformational moment when we were in Bhutan. Wow. And so when we got back, they said, let's make this into a regular trip.
Okay.
But they also say, no, it should not be any other travel trip, but let's build a platform where we can sort of, keep the connection going.
Okay.
So that is when then we decided to establish the Institute of Happiness Session. And surely enough, I think, of course, the main inspiration has been the GNH.
Right.
And not only that, then I think subsequently the visions of our leaders, His Majesty the King, and then also I think, the political transformation that we are going through. So it has been really fascinating to my friends in Shunivela. So since then, every year, except during the 3 years of pandemic,
Right.
Two groups came to Bhutan, one during the spring break in March and other one in December. So in fact, the 16th group will be coming this December 15th to 16th. They'll be attending the National Day.
Okay.
And so we have had over now 450 students from Harvard and MIT, mostly mid-career. Wow. So they are not like very young, but
Right.
From Harvard Business School. So a lot of them sort of go and work, and after 10 to 15 years, they come back for career change and they attend this program. So that's when the Institute of Happiness is born. So we are very, very small, of course, a private sector institute, but we take a lot of guidance from the Center for Bhutan Studies.
Right.
We take a lot of guidance from the government institutions, from the policies.
Love.
And the most recent was last March with the group. We have had a forum as well, which was based on how to have mindful development policies.
Okay.
And that goes into 2 days of discussion, not only from the students from Harvard, but also a lot of the local participants. And
Right.
one of the forums, we have been very fortunate that Her Royal Highness Ajay Sonam Deshan came and graced the opening ceremony.
Love.
So I'm very excited about this Shunivela, the Institute of Happiness. We are not a big institute, but at the same time, I think some of the focus is mainly 3 areas we have. One is the research related to all this travel and all these connections they were making, all this network. How are we able to follow up on those more? So, and this primarily we do it through some specific research, whether it's on happiness policy or whether it's on climate change, whether it's on social issues. So there are a lot of areas. And of course, the other main thing is the trek. We call it Harvard Bhutan Trek. So a lot of people think it's just trekking to the mountain, but this is a very popular terminology in Harvard University. And of course, prior to Bhutan, I think some of the most popular destinations were Japan, Israel, India, Europe. So now, since 2017, I'm happy to say that Harvard Bhutan Trek has also been firmly rooted in the map, and ever since we are continuing Session. So that's what the Institute of Happiness is doing. And then, of course, I would also like to acknowledge the support that I managed to get from all the corporate sectors in Bhutan. Because we were able to borrow some of the leadership and some of the organizational module and classes from Harvard. But at the same time, based on the research done by CBS and based on the own research we have done at our institute, then we are able to put the contents and the context from local Bhutanese wisdom and tradition. So, for example, we had a very popular course called the Adaptive Leadership. So we ran this for about 2-3 years. Again, during the COVID, online we did that course. Hugely transformational course. So I hope that I'll be able to continue with that. So that's the other thing. We are able to impart a lot of these knowledges to mainly at the executive level in Bhutan, to all the DHI companies. But pre-COVID, what we did is we also traveled to all the Dzongkhaks. So we were able to actually not only focus on the corporate executives and managers, but through their generous support, we were also able to actually subsidize the same course to the teachers. So in the Dzongkhak, we remember that we could only spare about 2-3 days in each Dzongkhak, but the teachers used to come from all the remote schools. They were fascinated by this course on adaptive leadership. And so those has been very enriching session way. And of course, my most recent thing is that now I'm sharing courses on artificial intelligence and digital skills for the future.
That's certainly an area that we will get about.
So before I forget, I would just like to say that 25th, we will be having a course on cybersecurity. And of course, I'll not be conducting it. I'm not the expert, but I have a friend, Joe Sutton, and he has been working all over the place, including the FBI. So that will be interesting. That's on 15th.
It's AI related.
Cybersecurity.
On the 25th of September.
Exactly,
It's an extremely busy time for me, actually.
Oh, too bad. No, we'll have some more.
Right, but keep note of the date, people.
Yep.
September 25th. And if people want to get involved in that, what do they do? Who do they get?
So please tune into the IOH website, Facebook, and my personal Facebook. So
Okay.
we'll provide the links and the details.
There you go.
To register.
Last. And on our show as well, we will try and provide you the links.
Yes, sir.
If
Oh, thank you. Yes.
for sure. Right. We will talk at length about things such as I'm
Yes.
curious about adaptive leadership and obviously about AI as well. There was just one while you mentioned Harvard. So just a question that kind of struck me.
Yes.
The dual alumnus of the Harvard Kennedy School
Yes.
and the Harvard Divinity School.
Yes.
You have a unique perspective, I think. I mean, because how did these two very different academic experiences help shape your
Yeah, absolutely. I think first I have to clarify one thing.
last?
Of course, you hear about people dropping out of Harvard. So here, one disclosure I have to make is Divinity School. I didn't quite finish it yet. So I'm the oldest, probably oldest student at Harvard who has dropped. I haven't dropped out. I'm the slot is still open.
Okay.
They give me still some more years too, because it's a 3-year course, Meva.
Last.
So I did 1 year, and then after that, during COVID, then I came back.
Nice.
So I'm still yet to complete Divinity, but
Okay.
the 1 year at the Divinity School was very, very fascinating. As you pointed out, I mean, my background is engineering.
Exactly. That's
So it's all about being numbers and science and everything that is what you call the scientific Newtonian domain. So that has been my area. And then banking actually is not very different either. Again, it's again back to numbers and everything, within this, I would say, numerical driven world. But the opportunity to go to Divinity School was really refreshing, because at that point in time, of course, we always have the opportunity by default, because you're born in Bhutan, you're a Buddhist Moshla. But at the same time, I think we haven't been to a monastic education. You haven't been to a proper structured sort of courses where you really go through the Buddhist practice. So when I went to the Divinity School, the first thing was the comparative religion. So now here you are able to actually dive into the very different sets of religions, not only from spiritual perspective, but also from social perspective and also from marketing perspective. Okay. Not in the pure commercial marketing sense, because one of the professors says, okay, so if religion is supposed to be treated like product, how do you assess it? I mean, do you go by the maximum number of followers? Do you go by what segment they are attracting? Do you go by high end, low end? So it was very interesting, Shanuvela. So you're right. I think that gave me sort of really broaden my perspective on a lot of other religions,
Yes.
which in a way then helped me sort of deepen my curiosity in my own religion, Buddhism, Muslim. So that sort of in a way is one of the things that ultimately led to the latest venture that I'm getting into, which I was sharing with you earlier, which is Dzogchen meditation.
Right.
So I think it has been a big turning point. It's
Last. So I can connect the dots now. Now the dots are connecting.
Last.
Right. Makes a whole lot of sense now. Right. But we're going to head off into a short musical break. On the other side, we will be discussing such things as Dzogchen meditation, as adaptive leadership, and of course, AI. We'll be right back.
Pa nam jai kap ngi china kolo chuda depa mam chabi tele zuchu achin churi hami ta ngi chinda ledi khachi mathim mo kali chu chin chu mema doli chai wala gi chazume ma tsebe patti da dadi themi.
Switch to Mongpa Water Solutions Zinc Loom prefabricated, made with a triple combo of zinc, aluminium and silicon. These tanks are easy to assemble, move and tough enough to stay loyal through sun, rust and contamination. Also lined with food grade multi-layer PVC PE that keeps your water safe and clean. No funny flavors, just clean, safe water. Mongpa Water Solutions Private Limited.
To know more about the tank, call 171-15539. 171-15539.
And we are back here on Radio Bali Net 9.9 FM. on the podcast, what the future? What the future? And my guest is Kinga Tshering, former MP and social entrepreneur. So we've been already broaching a number of subjects and discussing them. For sure, one and our focus generally being the future. For sure, a topic that I do want to get into is AI.
Yes.
You've been doing quite a bit of work trying to get local entities to embrace AI.
Yes.
But it's not just blind embracing. I'm sure there's a method to all of it. If you'd like to tell us what you've been doing specifically.
So I think artificial intelligence, very fascinating, Mola. And of course now, especially in this day and age, I mean, you see a lot of memes saying that you either follow AI or you're dead. But for me personally, this has been a subject which I was, not only interested, but as a engineering student, and then also someone who has been really, since, as you alluded to, when I was working in the corporate sector, like bank and so many other companies, how do you really gain efficiency? So that has been one of my primary focuses area. So we have been adopting, for example, technology platform in the financial institution, and then also systems like ERP, SAP, which can basically make your organizations not only function smoothly but also more secure in terms of its data, and in the end then leave some of those repetitive monotonous jobs to technology, and then use your brains and human beings to strategy and to so many other important things. So, for example, creativity, where I think you have been very, very active in. So that is the angle where I've been interested in. And of course, since the AI explosion happened just 3 years ago, it has been really fascinating. Just for example, if you look at history, of course, we don't want to forget the future. If you look at history, it took about 23 years for our internet to really boom at the present level. So which means about 93% of the global population being immersed in internet. That took about 23 years. Guess how many years it took for AI? 3 years. 3 years. So look at that. So I think, but at the same time, in Bhutan especially, primarily because most of our colleagues don't have the literacy and the capacity, but at the same time, they're all inspired and fascinated by His Majesty's focus on AI.
Right.
So they have listened to His Majesty's speech again and again, and they really want to unpack what is AI. So that's one of the reasons, why I have been actually coming out on social media on AI, and they're also in bits and pieces in the local language.
Right.
So otherwise, I think, again, content is there everywhere. So for me, I feel the kind of things that I'm sharing on AI is something at quite a preliminary and superficial level.
Okay.
Because being myself, I'm not an expert in AI. That's a disclosure I have to make.
Right.
But at the same time, I wanted to really, sort of dig a little deeper into what's happening in AI world. And of course, it's very fascinating. And so recently I've been able to get through the DoMCIIP skilling program, one of my friends actually who has been teaching AI in DoMCIIP program, and graciously he has been spared for a couple of days. So we have actually again gone through some of the preliminaries on AI with our corporate sector friends.
Right.
So I think there are a couple of things in AI. One is I see that a lot of our friends try to get into AI discussion at the ethical level and at a very, very philosophical level.
True.
And while that is completely fascinating, but for me, I think AI is something which has to be talked at the practical level.
Okay.
So what I do is, of course, there's a common, again, something that you hear when a lot of people, even us educated a lot, when we say we are using AI, that means we are using DeepSeek just like Google. We are using ChatGPT just like Google. So there, I feel that if through the Institute of Happiness, even if you can sort of teach our kids some of the basic skills and how do you use these AI tools, and then of course in our classes we do go back to the historical development of AI and where are we now. So the transformation of AI from the basic large language model to now what they call generative AI, agentive AI, so many things happening. So we do give a brief overview of those developments, as well as the fact that in the global world, I was kind of looking back and saying February, there was a big global AI summit in Paris,
Right.
where President Macron was hosting Narendra Modi and some of the global big state of the heads to, what the objective was to define regulations on AI because it's getting out of control.
Right.
But the reality is, who is not there in the global summit? China and US. And right now in AI, these guys are the players. Rest of the world, forget about it.
Oh, yes.
Even if you combine all the other rest of the countries in the world, they're not even 10% of where China and US is individually.
Absolutely.
So we do go through all of these things, but at the core is we wanted to teach skills. So we do take the kids through some of the basic things. Okay, how do you prompt? So that's one of the main things, like, because AI is ChatGPT and DeepSeek, they can do so many things, but they will go haywire. They are like the monkey mind. Again, relating to meditation instruction, they're the monkey mind. So how do you control it? You have to control it through some of the basic prompts. So that's just one example that I wanted to share. So, so as you can see, it does get me worked up when you talk about AI, even though I'm not an expert on AI, but I do see that it can help you a lot. And the other thing when I was in Australia was that group of students asking, how do you now tackle the problem of plagiarism? That's a big question also. So those are practical things I really would like to get involved in the future also, Shunivay AI, but not in a big way because I don't have the resources and the knowledge. But to the extent possible, during my recent trip also in Australia and Singapore, so I've been meeting up with a lot of friends from Harvard alumni, from Harvard University, who are specifically working in the AI and in the cybersecurity area. So I think this is the future, and so we better learn about AI, and to the extent that I mean, I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm always tempted to say that don't go to college. Don't go to college.
I would feel the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. How may I?
Right. Yes. Why not?
Yeah. Why?
See, right now you talked about plagiarism.
Right.
The way I see it is, up until now, we've all been limited by how much information we can retain within our own brains.
Yes.
Now we've come to a point in our development where we're even talking about having chips installed within ourselves.
Right.
So now the name of the game, I think, is not so much about how much information you can retain, but rather how well you can access information and how well you can utilize it.
Right.
AI is a big part of it.
But to my point of whether you need somebody, do they need to go to college in future?
That's what I'm saying.
I see.
Now I think the skills are more about trying to get information, use the information.
Exactly.
Not so much about learning.
The certificate.
Yeah, so even the whole paradigm of education has shifted, I'm sure. And yes, I get the point about regulation. It certainly needs to be there. But like you said, if you don't have the two biggest holders of cloud capital in the world, China and America at the table. But even if you did, look, I mean, we can get into this philosophical discussion if we must also. But even if we did, let's say the world and the UN suddenly became a very functional body and everybody saw eye to eye, and then we decided to come up with the regulations for AI. What's to stop one corporation from getting ahead of another corporation by doing it illegally, quietly? Or what's to stop a 14-year-old whiz kid with a super fast, powerful computer in his basement from exploring it further?
Exactly. Right.
So the way I see it is the future, and it's going to be messy.
Right.
Before things even out, before we have any sort of system worked out, it will get terribly messy, I think. And it will be used to weaponize.
Correct.
It'll be used for all kinds of purposes. But I think those are part of the growing pains that humankind needs to go through.
No, absolutely. And I think the other thing that I take comfort is in the fact that people are already talking about it on ethical AIs. And not only that, there are a group of smart people who are genuinely concerned and acting on it. What I mean by that is there are a few people like ex-employees of Google, ex-employees of Meta, ex-employees of OpenAI. For some reason, they didn't get along. So now they're out and they are sort of mobilizing resources and focusing on research areas where they can be sort of a checkmate.
Right.
So I think for those of us who are equally concerned, that may be an avenue where we should voice, and then maybe we should lend our support to Shinvela, because I don't know, since by default I am also like, in a way, I want to be social media participant. I know I was listening to this very influential Palki Sharma, and the way she talked about AI was that now it has gone rogue and it's not even listening to the engineer and who designed it, and so I was really concerned. I did some research, and in some ways that was wrong. She was misinforming, and actually it was a test that the group of AI engineers have done on context and in situations and conditions when AI can go wrong. So it was under a test parameters.
Okay.
So Anibedidigi, so it's not like the cat is out of the bag or anything like that. So to me, again, I think I'm not qualified to talk on the big global philosophical and the ethical level, but I'm really, as an engineer, looking at the practical conditions and situations.
Right. There's so much information out there. It's hard to know what's right. And different experts have different things to say.
Right.
So, I mean, I sat for 2 hours watching a podcast where Mo Gador, who's head of Google X.
Yeah. He's the one who's,
So, it was very encouraging to hear him when he said that, who knows, maybe AI will become better custodians of this planet than us.
True.
And it kind of made sense. But then the next time he came on to the same podcast, which is The Diary of a CEO. Yes. So the next time he came on to the same podcast, he had an entirely different take on it. He was worried about how what AI would do, and that it would probably get out of the end of the world as well. So who are you to believe? And it's. I guess we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, like you said,
here I think one thing is how are you taking this in the media? I think this is probably one of the areas more where AI has the biggest impact, because now if you give the right prompt, you get the most beautiful script. You get the perfect
I can see it.
Image. So how are you handling
I can see if you can make constructive use of it, and if it saves you time, why not? But there should be a full disclosure, of course. You don't want to take credit where credit is not due. But I can already see that at least now, I don't know how much hard work our journalists are doing, say our print journalists are doing in researching whatever stories they're doing, but at least on the final outlay, it's a lot more polished now.
Okay, but also is there a danger that is taking away your jobs?
Why not?
Yeah, because
I think that's inevitable, Nola.
Right, because I saw a podcast conversation on the Heart Sutra. 4 minutes of perfect conversation, which completely blew my mind away on Heart Sutra, on emptiness.
Okay.
And that's generated by AI.
There you go. So, yes, I mean, I was thinking the other day, one of my bureaucrat friends, quite a senior bureaucrat, he was talking about how they're being asked to multitask now, and he was saying, then in that case, we should also be getting paid commensurately. I said, well, you have an argument there, but in an age where practically every skill that we have is being replaced by AI, then you better multitask, because your job is on the line anyway. Who knows, 10 years from now, one of the strengths of AI is to study great data sets. So let's say even the civil service, we might not need, maybe the decision making will have to be done by human beings still, but an allocation of resources, AI would probably be a lot more effective than any human being can be. After studying what resources we have, right?
Yes.
And data analysis, will probably be better. So maybe we'll truly have an efficient and small civil service. Who knows? Job
absolutely. Yes.
And
maybe we might not require degree qualification to be in civil service.
In fact, they're saying the most secure jobs would be like plumbing and
absolutely. So that's the other thing. I mean, I was in Australia and met this gentleman who is also running a Institute of Technology, and he is one of the board members of the Future Skill Organization of Australia. So that's called FSO. So he was saying the board just received analysis and a report done by Deloitte, so which is one of the big consulting firms on future skills. And he's saying that over the last 3 years, even in Australia, they saw a decrease of university enrollment by 35%. That's a lot. That's a lot. 35%.
That is a lot. That is.
So apart from, I guess, the international students, the local students are not interested in university degrees. And what do? Plumbing. And the reason is because that's the fastest way to be an entrepreneur in a society like Australia, where they have the economy is booming. They have a lot of demand for plumbing, electrician, and then networking. With development of AI and data centers, there's so much wiring that needs to be done, and these cannot be replaced by AI.
Right.
And the other thing is healthcare sector, aged care. 90% of the Bhutanese who are in Australia working for healthcare, working as support staff in the hospital. These cannot be replaced by AI.
Right.
And then also home services, starting from cleaning to designing, whatever. These also cannot be done by AI because physically you have to move him.
Right.
So that was his report and take on the future skills in a advanced economy like Australia. So I was very interested.
Okay.
So I think perhaps even in a civil service is not the policy. I guess policy now I can ask DeepSeek, and DeepSeek will give me one of the any kind of policy. If I can give it the right prompt, it will tell me exactly step by step what to do over the next 5 years. Allocate the budget as you said, and tell me what the result is going to be. So I think that's not the problem now. The problem is somebody who executes and who carries out the policies and the planning.
So we could save a lot. We could save a lot in terms of TA, DA, pool vehicles.
I think those are
24/7. You don't
exactly. I think it's those are irrelevant. A lot of things could be done through social media, right? And I think. Short of using high technology platforms like blockchain, where it's supposed to be absolutely transparent, social media is transparent. You post something today, you're held accountable for that, especially for a public figure. I think it's very important that they come on social media, but from what I heard from our host friends are that they're a little bit shy and a little bit conservative. So maybe I'll ask them to. That's what I'm trying to.
I would love to have a lot more academics on a show like this. But when I did my mixtape many years ago, that was my experience. A lot of the academics who I knew were brilliant refused to come on because, by all intents and purposes, they're bureaucrats. They're civil servants. So, and they're bound by certain. So unfortunate. So, but just to bring this discussion on AI back to what we were getting to, your focus basically is I get it already. It's already tricky. Here we are in a country that probably saw its first motor cars 50 years ago.
Right.
And here we're trying to explain AI now and get people to use it productively, constructively. That is quite a bit of a challenge, no?
No, that's true, but again, I think we cannot afford to not to use it more. And the other thing is, I think we need to probably. I'm sure government is already working on it. Probably we need to target or sort of AI. Where we want to be in AI.
Okay.
Obviously, we cannot develop all the infrastructure that is required to compete with other nations in the world. Just to buy a GPU chip, I think is costing not less than $30,000.
Right.
And to do a simple large language model, you can't do it without 5 to 10 chips. So you're looking at $500,000.
Right. But DeepSeek has shown that it can be done with mid-level GPUs.
That's true. But I think DeepSeek,
and they've made it AI replicable as
well. True. That's what they've said. But I think again, to be able to chase something like DeepSeek, I don't think even OpenAI has done it. So what DeepSeek has done, if they've done it, is probably at a very different level, But I think for us, as a first step and a baby step, even if you look at it, so I think we do need to set up certain infrastructure.
Okay. For sure.
So this, I'm sure government is already doing it. DHI is doing it. So how much of that infrastructure we have, including Bhutan Telecom and BT. So I think this is where everybody has to pull in their resources. Again, one of my concerns in Bhutan is, even though we're a very small country, each organization, they try to pull themselves apart. So, even if they have a resource center, everybody wants to set up their own resource center. And I think especially in high technology like AI, my appeal is please do it together because we can't afford it. We can't afford it. Just to buy one chip is $30,000. That's a lot of money. So we need a particular threshold number of chips to be able to have a proper infrastructure to develop our own Dzongkha large language model.
Right.
So now I believe government has started. So that's a good thing. But I think the other important thing would be, while that is done by the government and big organization, but for the rest of us, I think the education sector and some of the, I think, NGOs and media can play a huge role. So maybe I think some of the AI related skills, tools, I think you can simplify it, you can break it down, you can probably, talk to the people about basic difference of ChatGPT and Claude 4, and you can talk about Gemini and where to focus on. Obviously, you don't have the time to look at everything, Mula.
Right.
So I think I'm just looking at some baby steps, So it's not necessarily like as a society we need to be like,
But everything has
the others. Right.
Start somewhere.
Correct.
And
But
I'm glad somebody like
so if you do this, for example, of course, I don't know how far is true, but China is definitely right from somebody at the age of 6, they start lessons in AI. So these kids are far ahead, And last time when I was in Australia, I met a guy who was in grade 4, barely 10 to 11 years old. And when I invited the Bhutanese kids to attend my basic AI class, so my first question is, anybody heard about AI? Yes, everybody has heard about AI. Anybody does coding behind AI? Then only one hand goes up. And there's this guy. So I said, what level of coding are you doing? He says, I'm doing advanced level. So, I mean, so it is possible, man. And then, for example, some of the schools in India, I saw special schools, they're already actually integrating AI lessons right from grade 6 also. So I think it's possible. And I think we do not have to wait till we have the perfect module in AI.
Okay.
So just somebody who has been using AI, so just share it with the teachers, and the teachers will share it with the kids. And the fact they're interested in generating nice image, the fact they're interested in trying out different prompts and getting different answers of the same subject they're talking about, I think they'll enjoy this anyway. So my sort of focus from Institute of Happiness at this point in time is not to really try to penetrate into all this highly technological thing, jargon, but to break it down and then have everybody on the same page, be able to speak some of the jargon, of course, which is very important. Otherwise, it's just ChatGPT and DeepSeek. But beyond that, what do you do? So let me come back on the plagiarism issue also. So I was saying that this is something which even in advanced colleges like in Australia, the students are not sure. So in fact, actually, I'm going back to Australia next month to University of Canberra. So I'll bring this up. So I was saying, okay.
So you're saying you're going to get into the plagiarism issue now?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is, let's take a short little music, right?
Okay.
And on the side, then we'll talk about the...
Okay.
All right. So see you guys in just a bit.
Heater sauchin Chanel gobbe me. Ko heater cham kitoni ebzume.
Chanel is not just heaters, it's more than that. Chanel Electronics also offers a complete range of other high-quality home appliances like fans and air circulators, dehumidifiers, portable air conditioners, fan heaters, blower fans, hot air heaters, rice cookers, air fryers, double and single electric stoves, vacuum cleaners, electric kettles, blenders, electric mops, and many more. Discover the full range of Chanel Electronics at Chanel Bhutan, the exclusive distributor of Chanel Electronics in Bhutan. Located in City Mall Chubachu, Thimphu. For more information, call 77196565, 77196565.
Alrighty, welcome back on What the Future, the podcast that comes to you every second Friday. We've been talking to former MP and now social entrepreneur Kinga Tshering. Fascinating discussion so far. When we last went into the break, we were talking about AI And specifically, Tashkinga wanted to broach the subject of plagiarism.
Right.
So, please,
Plus,
go ahead.
So, I mean, I had a similar group discussion at Murdoch University in Australia. And interestingly, that was the main question, because apparently a lot of our friends got into problem with plagiarism, knowingly or unknowingly. And to me, I think still this is a big question that we need to sort out even at, leading institutions in the West Asian Venezuela. Because the way I see it is now you cannot not use AI. Of course, like from the formative years on how you exercise your brain and train, that's a different issue. But now that you're working on a specific research project, something that used to take you 20 hours, if it can be done in 1 hour, so why not? But the question is now, even with disclosure, how do you disclose it? So I'm saying that, look, if you look into, for example, if you use this AI Manus notebook LM and so on. Those are research tools.
Okay.
So in the deep research, the interesting that this tool does is this will not go haywire and this will not be pulling up information from the internet.
Okay.
So what you need to define is you need to give them a particular set of books.
Okay.
So you say, okay, book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm giving you these 30 books. Limit your research to this 30 books.
Okay.
So, and the interesting thing is when you pull up the research paper, which is done, if you have very good internet speed, which we don't have, sorry, but you can get a very good paper in half an hour.
Okay.
And that paper, which could be 100 pages to 50 as you like it, will have specific references, citations from the book, including underlined page number and the paragraphs from that book. So what more do you need?
Right.
So the question now is, I guess if you know how to use this tool, if you consider this plagiarism, then you're asking me to go back to the library, go through all this traditional method, pull the books one by one, or go to the internet, download the PDF file and go and underline. You're doing the same thing. So I do not have the answer, but I think Bhutan, again, we have the advantage of being small. And in the academia, I think if ever there is a research board or something equivalent here in Bhutan, I would really earnestly ask them to look into this because this is fascinating. I don't want to waste 20 hours in writing a research paper, which I can do it in 20 half an hour. And it will be referring to all the books that I wanted to, even maybe more better than I can, and give you the citation, everything.
Right. In my experience, I have, with people that I've known, generally when we get into a discussion on anything, I find that people who've actually done at least their undergraduate studies generally tend to argue or to discuss in a far more logical and organized way. Which is not to say that those who have not done undergraduate studies are stupid. In fact, I think when I look at my own age group, the ones who dropped out after 12 and went on to do business, these are the street smart ones.
Yeah.
These are the ones who are doing very well in life. They've retired. Their children are handling their businesses and they're going near crochet, all that. That's what they're doing. I'm just saying, but when we get into a discussion, generally I find people who have done at least their undergraduate studies tend to argue a lot more organized and are more organized in their thoughts as well. And perhaps that's because of the discipline that's gone into actually going to a library, looking for information, seeing what is right or wrong. That discipline, I think, is valuable. However, considering that, it's like you said, I would still value efficiency. If I can get a 20-hour job done in 2 hours, why not?
True. I completely agree with you on that. Of course, the question is now, do you or can you provide the same set of skills even without going to college? I think that is something very pertinent in Mewala, even in our schools. So can you teach the kids right at that age on how to do research without AI on a couple of things? And if they have gone through those basic steps, then perhaps when they reach college level, they don't need to go through the basic steps because there's already no man. But of course, one thing interesting is that the habit of reading and the habit of going through all kinds of information, I think there's no shortcut, Mela, because I think even if you have AI as a tool in front of you, especially for somebody like yourself, Mola, who can pretty much speak on any topic. That's not going to happen even you have the most powerful AI in front of you, because you're not going to waste your time by typing in the question mushla, because it has to come automatically mewala. So Anibuddha, I feel that this is something very important, and which I think is relevant to the topic is the recent the assassination in the US. US has been there's been so many, I think, for God's sake. In fact, we lost one of our good friends, Melissa Hodman, her husband, who were members of the parliament in Minnesota. So they were assassinated back in May, and they were actually among the first group of Harvard students who came to Bhutan. So in fact, condolences images which is going around was her dressed in kira and her husband in ko. So anyway, back to Kirk. So this guy never went to college. He dropped out of community college, but the way he speaks, I mean, he knows specific things on any topic. One of the economics guys was arguing with him on economics. You didn't study economy, you dropped out of high school, so how can you talk about economics? Then Kirk goes back to him saying, do you know Maynard Keynes? Do you know Richard Clay Christensen? So he sort of has all this information on his fingertip, which of course AI is not going to help you at that moment. And at the same time, I feel that you don't need a degree to do that, but you do need schools and even maybe homeschooling. Maybe, I think you heard about Kirk arguing on homeschooling. Perhaps the future is homeschooling. The kid asks you, right? So,
but see, the Kirk, Charlie Kirk, one of the things about him, and I've seen endless videos of him, and I hate to admit it, but I did watch many of his own videos as well. Never really liked him.
Yeah, it could be controversial.
Extremely intelligent. But I did see that, what I did notice is that most of his videos were like, he'd go to these colleges, debate kids in the colleges, and generally come out on top. But when he goes to the Ivy League colleges, see the one actually where he's gone to Harvard and...
No, I need to look it up. Okay. I see.
The Harvard kids are...
Well, I think those are,
they're
different level.
They're like... He gets terribly embarrassed. Anyway, but in any case, just as a little sidetrack from what we were discussing, but the murder of Charlie Kirk, I think, is most unfortunate. No matter how much I didn't like him and didn't agree with him, I think...
Just 31 years, 31 years of age, very young.
And in the country that's known to be the world's, they say, leading democracy, a person should be allowed to speak their mind. No matter what, whether he advocates for gun violence or not, it's just most unfortunate. Looks like we've run out of time. I wanted to get into adaptive leadership, but here's the thing then.
Maybe next time.
So then let's end with this one question. Are you coming back to politics?
I thought you would never ask.
And even very weird. Okay.
By the way, thanks, because you're from North Thimphu, my constituency.
Yes.
But thanks for the question. I mean, as you know, I did very badly. So, but anyway, I mean, I'll always be active, in the political arena.
Right.
Whether I'll participate as an active politician, that is still a question. But I'm going to be very active in terms of providing feedbacks and providing doing research, and especially in keeping in touch with my friends in the parliament. I think, but lately I've seen that they run away from me. That's because of my social media. So I need to be careful. They say, Kinga is going to take out his phone and, click social media of us. So that's something I have to tackle with now. I feel that I have put an unnecessary barrier
between them and you.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, they are so open.
I don't think there's a, if you look at Vijay Lynchin, for example, right? It's quite social media.
I know, it is, of course.
I think the sensible way to go is to embrace it, to use it constructively. But may I say that your answer right now was a very politician answer. It wasn't it wasn't a no.
There you go.
Well, anyway, okay. So I'd like to thank you very much for the time that you spent with us and for imparting so much of your sharing with us, so much of the wisdom and the experience. I mean, if we sat down to talk another 2 hours, I'm sure we could do it. I'm very confident.
I have a lot of questions to ask you. So maybe I'll host you at IOH next time.
Fine.
Institute of Happiness.
Absolutely. I'll be open to the idea. Just as as long as you give me prior information, a week ahead or something, then I can balance my schedule for sure. But yeah, thank you so much for coming here and being the inaugural guest on what the future. I think it's been a fabulous show. Like I said, we still have so much more that we could possibly talk about. We do have a final segment, which is called the final 2 minutes, which we won't be airing here on radio, and that will be only on video. So if you guys want to watch the video and this final segment, it's called the final 2 minutes. You'll have to go to my YouTube page. That's where you will find the final segment. Okay, the final 2 minutes. So thank you very much, Kariche. In parting, anything if you would like to say to our audience out there who's listening right now?
So I guess with the cue, then I would also have to say bye to my friends on TikTok and ask you to please watch the YouTube for the final 2 minutes. Thank you.
Lassa. So we've come to this section, which is not on radio. It's called the final 2 minutes. This is the session where we hope we can see you as a normal, everyday human being, not just the smart brains that we all know you to be. So just tell us something totally off the top of your head.
I think as we look to the future, so there's one thing that I'm playing my age now.
Okay.
And that's mind training and Dzogchen meditation.
Okay.
So something I passionately feel about.
Okay.
And it's a little pompous to say that this is a shortcut to enlightenment. So this is something where I've already done the first session in this January. So we were in the jungle for 1 month doing the first round of meditation. But in order to qualify for that, you need to put in preliminary Nyendro practice of 1,000 hours.
Okay.
So this is something I found it extremely transformational for me. Even though we say we are all Buddhists, but I think there are so many things that still needs to be learned. So this is absolutely humbling and something I really wanted to share at an appropriate time and space.
Okay.
But at the same time, I hope that the future generation will be sort of watching out for this. Wait till you get my age and then please look out for Dzogchen practice.
Okay. Now, I was actually looking for something quite irrational. This sounds too rational.
It's not because I think this has, till now we always say, impermanence, and then you sort of wave it away emotionally.
Right.
But now I think through this mental training and mind practice, this is something that you really try to sort of grasp your hand around it, but really not doing so.
Okay.
So to me, I think this is something very irrational because there's no rationality in the sense that you are either using empirical evidence, you're using scientific approach, none of those things. So this is where
but it's still centuries of wisdom that's been passed down.
Right, but who has mastered it? Who has mastered it?
Right. Okay. So
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. So then let's just get into this. So in that way, you're saying it's irrational.
Exactly. There's nothing rational about it. That's why it's secret.
Okay.
It's a secret teaching. That's why only the great masters who are taking the risk of imparting this knowledge, because otherwise there is a danger of this becoming instinct.
Can you just narrate probably an instance, something that might have happened, let's say maybe during your Nyendro or while doing your Dzogchen?
Many instances.
Okay, that's just something totally right. Okay.
The Dzogchen practice is secret.
So we keep it secret.
When the preliminary practice is not secret. So already Rinpoches are sharing about it, but I can summarize it maybe in the next talk. Preliminary practice is not secret and I can share that.
Okay. Las, thank you. Thank you so much. So I was actually looking forward to unraveling something here. It looks like this is even more secret. We'll have to wait for another opportunity to unravel yet more.
Exactly. It's one of those where I can tell you, but I have to shoot you first. I'll shoot you later maybe.
Last. Thank you. I don't want to be shot. Last.